This user thought we supplied their internet, by user Coren Solist. Got a call right before wrapping up on Friday, and it was quite a puzzler. Me, IT help desk, how can I help? The user, in a noticeably irate tone, you turned off my internet. Me, sorry to hear that. Are you referring to your VPN or network drives? User erupts, no. I can't watch Netflix, go on Facebook or anything. I want to speak to a manager. Me, alright, have you tried rebooting your home router or access point? User, frustrated, yes, I have, unplugged, waited 10 minutes, and plugged it back in several times. I demand you restore my service. Me, okay, who is your internet provider? User, bluntly, are you stupid? You are my provider. Me, ma'am, we don't provide your internet connection, we're just your IT help desk. User, exasperated, but I started working from home, so you guys took over the service. I demand to speak to a manager. Me, we don't take over your internet service. Did your manager or HR tell you that we do? Because that's not true. User, flustered, but I'm sure I was told if I worked from home, my employer would compensate me for internet and electricity. Me, yes, they may compensate you on your payslip for expenses, but you still need to pay for your internet/phone service for your home. Who is your provider? User, defensively, no one. I cancelled the service last week. You guys need to get me online so I can do my work, now. Me, well, ma'am, we can't provide you with internet. You need to contact your old provider or a new one and get them to reconnect you. User, enraged, this is ridiculous. I will be speaking to your manager on Monday. You are a useless support agent. Me, sorry you feel that way, ma'am, but that's the reality. You need to contact a provider to get reconnected. I can recommend some in your area if you need help with that. User hangs up, and the help desk phone system shuts down for the week until Monday morning. To cover my bases, forwarded the call recording and ticket to my manager and the user's manager. No mention of taking over internet services anywhere in the company's intranet, so who knows where they got that idea, haha. The following Monday, turns out that user got fired. Checked the pending cases this morning and found a leaver request with immediate effect, along with a note advising not to provide any support other than the return address for their equipment if they call. Apparently, this user had a problematic attitude. Instant karma, I suppose. Smiley face, just because I edited a ticket, doesn't mean it's mine, by user snoo80849. At my last job, I often had to triage tickets as there was often way too much to grok while looking at the queue. Have it be generic titles, tickets with fragmented sentences and no hardware info, or something IT support didn't handle, I often needed to edit the tickets and get them sent to the right person or team. One time, a request for access to an arcane and obscure web portal was requested by someone, I'll call them Jerry. The IT department didn't grant access, so I updated the ticket and directed to the right team. I then promptly forgot about the ticket for 2 months. 2 months later, I get a call from Jerry who said he needed to get access right then and there for a client. I stated I didn't grant access to that, and I forwarded their call to Portal Gatekeeper. I then get the call right back, as Jerry stated the gatekeeper didn't handle the portal and it's an IT problem. I told Jerry I'd call them back after I go talk to the gatekeeper. I decided that I wasn't going to use any electronic filters for the gatekeeper's sake and found them fiddling with their phone in their office. Me, hey, Jerry needs access to portal. Gatekeeper, you looked at the ticket, aren't you going to work on it? Me, well, yeah, IT doesn't grant access to that portal since it has info we aren't supposed to see. You are the person who is the admin for the portal, you just gotta add their email. Shows printed instructions from retired gatekeeper. Gatekeeper, you edited it and so it's your ticket, can you remote into my computer and add them for me? Me, neutral face. Me, talk to your boss about it, they should have some more info on the portal. I don't have access and I was told by my boss that we shouldn't be doing the work for others. I leave and inform my boss about the issue, who stated he was going to bring up with gatekeeper's overlord. The next day, while working at home, Jerry calls asking if he can access the portal now. He can, but the permissions are limited. Gatekeeper's director, really nice dude, seemed to like me over the other grunts, was on the gatekeeper's ass about the situation. Gatekeeper CC'd me on a lengthy email chain about how all software things are its responsibility. The IT department director ended the chain by stating that IT really shouldn't be seeing contracts with lots of data and the ilk. They have security for a reason. Also, he stated that just because IT grunt edited a ticket, it's not her sole responsibility. There are other cases of this, but this one was the most egregious. Where do I get a ticket from? By user chemico_UK. We put a sign up on the office door recently to say please don't knock unless you've submitted a ticket. User knocks, looking confused and looking around. Asks, where do I get a ticket from? As in, they thought this was a Butcher's or Argos in the 90s and needed to take a paper ticket and wait. Then to top it off, the issue was I can't get into my emails on my laptop or phone, so I just followed them as it was going to be easier. They hadn't even attempted to open Outlook on the laptop and their phone just had the big black bar in the Outlook app that said sign in. Like, come on. I swear some users go out of their way to be so bad at IT. Not even attempting anything beforehand. When the user wants an explanation of what went wrong, by user Boberg. I was going to reply to a comment in another post, but I didn't want to hijack the original thread or the comment, so I thought I would post a story. In case you want to get a little of the background, the original story was it's because it doesn't have a mainframe, isn't it? Posted by u/thebarcodalad. The comment that triggered this memory was made by u/notabiggins. I still can't get over, 20 years later, the one who, after I fixed the problem, asked me what was wrong. This user was about as computer illiterate as they come. So I told her. I said, oh, the ODN conduits got stuck in the Feinberg oscillating Fram-Istat mode. Her response? Oh. Okay, that makes sense. I couldn't believe she actually had the gall to pretend to understand that Star Trek double talk. She would have believed anything I told her, as long as it sounded techie. With the background out of the way, here's my story. Back in the mid-1990s, I was working for a company that provided software to various financial corporations. One of our clients was an insurance company and was located on the 11th floor of our building. We were on the 8th floor. Our main client contact person was a woman named Sue. Now, Sue, my boss, and I all lived within half a mile of each other and for several years, carpooled from our home in suburbia to the building downtown. During these daily commutes, Sue would mention issues the office was having with the software, or she would suggest improvements. My boss was driving, so I took notes, and when we got to work, I would add her suggestions to our backlog and figure out the best way to incorporate her suggestions to our software. This was literally one of the best vendor/client relationships that I have ever been in. The symbiotic nature of a client making suggestions and the vendor providing those features based on a daily 60 to 90-minute commute was very effective. The three of us were really good friends. Anyway, sometimes Sue would ask, when I was doing such and such today, the system threw an error. Any idea why it happened? I would always tell her, I'll have to look at the log file, but I'm pretty sure it isn't an actual problem in our software. It's most likely a random, cosmic event in the universe, probably a neutrino flipping a bit in the memory core. I'll look at the log file tomorrow and confirm if that is what happened. Sue would laugh, and then we would talk about the local sports teams or some other stuff. Anyway, one day, I was installing some software in their server room. Sue was in the room with me, watching the installation process and being there in case I needed credentials for a section of the network to which I didn't have access. While we were waiting for the software to be installed, she asked me about a problem that one of her colleagues had run into the previous day. She said, oh, by the way, Lori had a problem yesterday that I think may have been another random, cosmic event in the universe. Tell me again what those are. I launched into, well, approximately 9 minutes before she encountered the problem, a neutrino was formed in the center of the Sun. It was expelled at the speed of light, hurtling toward Earth. 9 minutes later, it entered our atmosphere, went through the building because neutrinos are incredibly tiny, don't you see? And because they are so small, went through everything, walls, floors, tables, computers, everything, except, for some reason, it had happened to hit one of the bits in the main memory chip for the CPU. That bit was originally A1 and got flipped to be A0, or, it could have been A0, and it got flipped to A1. Either way, as it continued on its journey through the center of the Earth and back out into the universe, that one single bit flip caused the CPU to stop in its processing and, not knowing what else to do, because these kind of events are so rare, made it throw an exception. When we are done here, I'll take a look at the log file and figure out if I can confirm whether that is what happened. Sue laughed and said, I thought it was something like that. I finished the installation, told her to email me the log file from the other user, and went back to my desk downstairs. About 5 minutes later, my boss asked me to come into his office. I got there, and he told me to shut the door. He said, I just got an email from some other manager that I think you need to hear. Apparently, there were 2 people from my company in the client's server room doing something on their S/400. They had heard me telling Sue the story about the neutrino, but they didn't know that Sue and I were good friends. The email included phrases similar to the following. After my heart stopped pounding and my boss started laughing, he then sent the other manager an email of explanation. In that email, he explained the relationship between me, him, my boss, and Sue, and that not only were we good friends, but she absolutely knew I was simply embellishing a story I had told her many times in our daily commutes. There was no love lost between our group and the other group, and, to be honest, my boss had actually told me that the reason our group was held in such high regard by our clients was because we totally shined, whereas the other group was primarily known for screwing things up. The other manager was a not very friendly person, and ruled his petty little fiefdom with an iron fist. Unfortunately for me, about 2 to 3 years later, there was a reorganization looming, and I realized that my next step would be to move over to the other manager's group. I took that as another sign of a random, cosmic event in the universe, and started looking for greener pastures. I left the company shortly thereafter. And about 6 months after I left, I heard that the other manager was fired because he had made repeated, improper suggestions toward his female administrative assistant. It's because it doesn't have a mainframe, isn't it? By user the Barcodalad. This happened just earlier today. We use largely cloud-based systems. We'd recently run an update on our remote desktop software and rolled it out to all users after 2 weeks of testing. There were teething issues, but overall it was a 10% failure rate. Could have been worse. This update causes display issues and other minor inconveniences. Get a call from a lady who's always been problematic. Stuff like shouting at us when she can't plug her firm laptop into her AIO home PC and using that as a second screen, not charging her laptop and phoning us asking why it doesn't turn on, you know the drill. Picnic. So, she calls the help desk. I pick it up. Connect to her session, get through a bunch of diagnostic questions and stuff. Figure out the issue. Me, sorry, unfortunately you'll need to pop down to IT and get a replacement laptop. This could be fixed if I were there in the office with you, but unfortunately I won't be in for another 2 weeks. ID10T, oh I see. Is there no way you could do it for me now? I have urgent task to get on with that I put off for a week. Me, sorry, unfortunately not. I'd need to do it in person. ID10T, oh okay right, that's because it doesn't have a mainframe, isn't it? Me, absolutely fucking dumbfounded sure? Pretty much. Just go down and grab a replacement from colleague. ID10T, awesome, great. Will do. QQ 10 minutes of silence after the phone goes dead. Completely dumbfounded. I've actually not heard anyone say something as stupid as that before.